Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you. On behalf of Kintaro Sales Power, I would like to thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Trevor Akwenye, and I'm the sales executive at Kintaro Sales Power in Thailand. The webinar today on business opportunities in stem cell therapy is presented by Dr. Iho Miliaev, who is the Regional Deputy Director of Medicine at Kintaro Sales Power. For those who are not familiar with the company, Kintaro Sales Power is a leading Japanese biotechnology company headquartered in Tokyo. We also have offices in various other Asian countries in the world, including Thailand as well. The company has its own lab, and we supply clinics, hospitals, universities, and research centers as well with a source of high-grade bone marrow mesenchymal stem cell cultures for their own products as well. So before we get started, just a little bit of housekeeping. If you have any questions, please type them in the Q&A box in your Zoom control panel. The questions will be answered throughout the webinar, and we'll also have some time to discuss some of the questions at the end of the session. So without further ado, I would like to hand over to Dr. Iho. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Trevor, for a wonderful introduction. Good morning. This is Vietnam, 10:35 a.m. And as the weather getting hotter, we all do have to adopt to that. Even my hair is getting shorter. But coming to stem cells, let me just manage my screen, and there we go. Just a little bit of information about me. So who are you talking about? I do come from a wide range of medicine, combining both modern medicine, stem cells, with alternative methods. Currently taking position of a medical director of especially Vietnamese and Asian branch, currently in a Vietnamese office. This is where, for example, we developed one of our protocols of combining stem cell treatment with acupuncture method. This is where the West meets East. But if we're going a little bit deeper into the stem cells, okay, well, what I have here, I have ulcerative colitis, and the problem is now big, and even some people in my family that I know were suffering from it for years. But judging just before and after, you can see a big difference. What does it mean? That not simply means that you restore your digestion, but that means that you actually restore your full immune system. Let us look at the latest trends of what's happening right now in biotechnology business, and especially in stem cell business around the world. What do we have here? We have the usage of stem cells to regrow hair, and some of a sudden there we have Mike Tyson being reported for using stem cells. Was he using it for hair? I think his recent pictures still show that he's bald, but I think he knows of the advantages of stem cells not only being used for hair, but for internal health regeneration. Is he the only one? No, we have more people here who are actually using stem cells for multiple sclerosis, such as, for example, Selma Blair undergoing the stem cell treatment. So basically, what's happening now in the world, we have the huge involvement of the community and the stem cells business. Maybe the people finally understand that this is the most effective, least side effective method that even our company, the numbers are a little bit old now, it's over 2,000 satisfied patients worldwide with successful treatments of different areas and different diseases, but most of all, it's getting back your balance, which is your health. Just a simple example, if you have ischemic heart disease, and for me as a doctor, it's very important. One is how effective is my treatment. Two, the least side effects, but number three is how long the results are going to last, especially when the person is aged and you know his regenerative ability is not as good as before due to the stem cell count in his body being very low. We can see that 6 months later the circulation is his heart, it's much better than the before therapy, and so happens 1.5 years later in a 60-year-old patient, and so happened even in 73-year-old patient 2 years later. To me, as a doctor, that's a satisfaction in my professional field. To the patient, it is regeneration of his health and getting back the ability, maybe walking upstairs, maybe cycling, maybe going to the park, to the picnic, and most importantly, not dodging all the pills that usual doctor prescribe for heart support. Who else has been involved in stem cells? If we take a look, I'm sure you are not familiar with this old man, but you're familiar with the young man behind him. This is Mel Gibson's father. On the picture, he is 101. Unfortunately, Mel Gibson's father has left us on 11th of June. That is just 10 days ago, at the age of 101. Who wouldn't want to live such long? And basically, what's important here is that the last 10 years, he was constantly on stem cell treatment. So for those who are saying that money cannot buy health, that is a very good example that nowadays actually money can buy health, that this not young man but rather aged man has shown, and especially they can buy not only health but they can buy quality of life, because look at his smile, look at his skin. And if you only know the whole story where he had a kidney deficiency, heart deficiency, and he needed the hip transplant, but after stem cells he said, no, I don't need the hip transplant anymore, my hip is good, and the problems were gone. What's happening with the most important and most feared organization in the world, the FDA? They do have approved the stem cell treatment for patients with COVID-19, the much awaited event that happened. What does it, why is it happening? Maybe because some people, let's say, do not wait for approval because they do understand the longer you wait, actually, the less regeneration ability you have left in your body. And sometimes it's time to take action right now. And not only those aged people, but also young, they do understand that the best regenerative medicine can come in the most natural way. And this is what we are talking about. These are the stem cells that provide regeneration of your whole body. Or you can use it locally, like we do in Kintaro Cells Power, for example, for your knees. That's where I said we combine in the acupuncture with stem cell local injections. Am I talking about something new that nobody heard before? No, I'm talking about actually right now, it's about more than 100 years of history where the first term stem cells was proposed by Dr. Alexander Maximov. And then after the Second World War in the 50s, the countries started doing the intense research into the stem cells. So later on, after the millennia, we had our company established in Singapore first, and now we have a lab in Malaysia providing treatments. But as I mentioned the FDA before, we here have information that Emirates use stem cell for coronavirus treatment, and China has treated more than 200 cases successfully. The discharge rate from the hospital was from 2 days after the treatment, 2 days, 4 days, 1 week. All of those who received the stem cell treatment were treated successfully. So what are we providing here? When you are bedridden for 20 years after the stroke paralyzed you, and not only that, but you have a diabetes type 2 like this woman at the age of 76, what are your hopes? Do you have, as Pink Floyd says, high hopes? I doubt so. But with Kintaro cells power, what is the power? Those are the Kintaro stem cells. After the second treatment, I have witnessed this lady walking herself, because the first time I met her, she was carried into the treatment room by one of her relatives. After the second treatment, we're talking about like it was almost 6 months after the first time I met her, she was walking with a cane. Why? Well, the question is very easy to answer. When we are kids, we have a huge bank of stem cells in our body. This is why regenerative ability of kids are huge. This is why kids breaking the bone 1 week later, maximum maybe 2 weeks, the bones grow back. Number one, they grow back fast. Number two, the regeneration rate is 100%. And as we grow older, we are losing the number of stem cells. Those are the soldiers that are responsible for regeneration. This is why with age, our regenerative ability are being reduced. We still do have that mechanism in our body, the regenerative mechanism, but simply we don't have material to add to that. Your body does want to regenerate. Being sick, being weak, having a disease, being unhealthy is actually not natural. But where to get that material and how to bring it back to the count that you had when you were young? The answer is Kintaro cells. Why? Because due to those stem cells, the regeneration process, as you can see in infants, exceeds above inflammation and fibrosis. As we become adults, as we are losing the stem cells of your own body, the regeneration is being reduced, inflammation exceeds now, and fibrosis. So what do we need to do? We need to restore the condition as when we were young by multiplying the number of stem cells in your own body, making the regeneration process main one. Once regeneration taking place, inflammation and fibrosis will be reduced naturally. If they're being reduced naturally, the inflammation and fibrosis are reduced. So according to American researchers, the age at which a person can be completely healthy is 44 for women and 40 for men. And this is where I am at the break now. What to do? I want to have another 40 years of me going up. I want to spend the next 40 years much better, feeling healthier, more energetic. Why? Because simply I have plans. I especially have business plans, of which I want to share with you a little bit later. So what do I need to do? Simply, I need to look at a new way of health treatment. This is not where you go to doctor, you're being diagnosed, and simply he's prescribing you a number of pills that you start taking. Day by day by day, you do feel better, but one time or the other, you will have to go back to the doctor, because our body is a unique system. The more you're pumping it with pills, the more sometimes it's not taking the effect. We all well know about the side effects of overusage of antibiotics. So here we come to a totally new outlook on health, where you meet the representative of Kintaro, and they provide you the new way of treatment. Least side effective, most effective, much more important, it's least time consuming. You need to spend the amount of less than 1 day being treated by Kintaro cells. And then what is the result? Your overall health is returned. Most importantly, your disease, illnesses are prevented. This is what I'm talking about, the real health treatment and the real health care. The results it provides are great. If we are talking about kidney deficiency, you can see the creatinine was 361 before treatment. 1 month later, after the first treatment, it went down to 300. If we're talking about glycosylized hemoglobin of the same patient with diabetes, you can see the improvement of numbers from 71 before treatment to 57 in 1 month after the treatment. And this is a criteria that does not change very rapidly and often. It usually takes up to 3 months to change the criteria. We did change it in 1 month. The pro-BNP numbers are being increased due to exaggeration of heart muscle. Because again, we're talking about the same patient who has a high blood pressure, and it makes his muscle work much harder. So when the heart is being expanded, pro-BNP numbers are growing. 367 before the treatment, going down to 231. So what does it mean? That means we have a reduction of heart in size and regeneration. What are we providing here? We are providing the most, as I put it, naturopathic way. Who can check that? Very simple. Tokyo Medical University can check that, and they do on annual basis. So this is a certificate from them testing our cells. And here is the most important, here's the answer to the most important question. Do we need a match for the stem cells? Where can I get them? Do I have to use my own? We don't do the autologous stem cells, we do the allogenic. Why? Here at the right of the bottom of the picture, you see the human leukocyte antigen being close to 0. This is why Kintaro cells do not cause the immune system response. They are not causing side effects. That's why you don't need the particular match. Simply to speak, you can use mine, I can use yours. Only I do not qualify as a donor, because our donors are only from 18 to 25. After that, the body passes the peak of development. Me, being healthy, yes, cannot be qualified as a donor anymore, but hey, I have to live my life, and I do have more examples of patients being treated. But as I mentioned before, what can we provide you with? We can provide you with non-invasive, no surgery requirement, no endoscopic intervention, no immunological conflict, most importantly, no ethical problem method, where the client who come to us, they need to spend 1 hour, maybe 1 hour and a half, sitting in a comfortable couch or lying on bed while you are undergoing IV infusion into your vein. 8 hours later, you're feeling okay, you're taking a rest, then the regeneration happens, and cells live in your body from 1 to 3 months while you are enjoying the pathotrophic effect. That is where the stem cells can identify the problem areas in your body, going there, making it their home, is a homing effect, and producing around, some scientists say, up to 300 substances is a paracrine effect. The stem cells are marked green. You can see the redistribution of them 10 minutes later with the blood flow. 2 hours later, you can see they are everywhere. What do we see here? 2 hours later, they go up to the brain. They have the ability to go through the hematopoietic barrier, ensuring your central nervous system regeneration. That's why we have a great results in treating, for example, stroke patients, paralyzed patients. This is maybe why the multiple sclerosis is simultaneously taking the effect. You see the huge green area around the lungs, and this is where COVID treatment, successful COVID treatment comes in. Big green area in your lower abdomen as your reproductive area, and this is where we have a side effect is increasing your sexuality. Or for those who are thinking about second, third child but are being in their 40s, how to ensure that your children are healthy? The answer is Kintaro cells power. And most importantly, what I said before, you see 2 hours later we still have a green on the left arm. This is where the needle enters the vein. The needle is being taken out, but the greens are still there. That means the cells identify that the vein was poked and they need to stay there. And they need to ensure the process of regeneration. It's such a small matter, but on a cell to cell, there is no small matter. They identify the problem areas, the broken cells, and they are ensuring their regeneration. This is what happens, for example, when you have a diabetes, and most importantly, what it does to your vessels. The diabetic food, as you see before in the right food, the blood circulation shown in red is okay, but in the left food, the blood circulation is okay, but in the right food shown in green, the blood circulation is very bad. After local injection by Kintaro cells, the patient in his 39 is able to keep his food. With a modern approach and a modern doctor, he would have to become invalid because unfortunately, the doctors usually say, I'm sorry, the gangrene starts, we have to amputate. With Kintaro cells power, you can keep on dancing. And especially my particular pride is the aged citizen who is being my grandma and who had 40 years of high blood pressure, hypertension, heart support, pumping medicine every day, and I couldn't watch her medicine becoming food. I said, Grandma, we have to do something. So we provide Kintaro cells treatment once IV every year. So I have to disappoint you, she didn't turn 20 again. But in her 95, she's being able to use the sewing machine, making underwear. Most importantly, she can do that without wearing glasses. She's in a sharp, bright mind, and she is not on any form on medication. The natural regeneration is what Kintaro cells power is giving you. Just like one man said a long time ago, the doctors of the future will not give medicine to the patient, but will interest you in the care of human frame, but most importantly, in cause and prevention of the disease. And if you bear with me now a little bit, I'm going to show you a few cases and testimonials of our patients. Trevor, I give it back to you.
My name is Harvey Getz. I'm 81 and I'm from the United States originally. Well, I had irregular heartbeat. I had a minor stroke back in 2012. And that's when I decided to retire. The valve in my heart is good now. It repaired it, apparently, because last time I was at to see the doctor, he said, I may take these pills away because it seems to be beating pretty well. And they did a scan of my heart and they found that the valve is no longer any problem. The after test was a few weeks ago and he was quite surprised and he said, your aortic valve is nothing to worry about. It's fine. And that was good news. I felt mentally much more energetic. I still am. I was getting pretty tired a lot of times, taking naps, and I don't take nearly as many naps now as I used to. And for the first time in a long time, my legs really felt good. I do more walking now. We go on lots of walks. I go further than I had for a long time. My activities have improved in many areas. In my writing, I write short stories, and my saxophone playing, so forth, is full of energy. But I really relaxed when they gave me the stem cells. I guess we slept then till morning, and I woke up and I felt great. I could balance better. I could do a lot of things better in just one day, perfectly safe. I can only say that you'll feel better once you've done it.
as a case of Nazumi, if I pronounce her name correctly, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes. So here what we witness is some doctors even say it is a miracle when the woman who's being paralyzed 8 months after the stroke, basically her hopes are, again, as I mentioned before, in this kind of area were not so high. So what the Kintaro treatment did, it's very important question when our clients ask, how soon, what age people should do Kintaro? The age is actually crucial, as I mentioned before, because with every day, when you are adult, your body only produces 30,000 new stem cells, your own body. 30,000 is actually nothing if you need to regenerate every day being a healthy person. But if you're talking about such cases like being paralyzed after the stroke, 30,000 would not ensure. And even practicing with physiotherapy or some other forms of alternative medicine, acupuncture, acupressure, it all would take years. It all would take years to regenerate, 3, 5, maybe even longer, because I do have some expertise in that area. I saw those people basically suffering, exercising every day. And you know how easy it is to lose hope once you don't see the progress on a daily basis. Not every one of us can do that. What Kintaro Cells Power provide is in one IV, we give you 200 million cells, which is equal to 18 years of your own body production. So in one IV, in that small vault of 10 milliliters, you are getting 18 years of life. This is why after, even during the first IV, Nozumi started to feel her hand, and she was so surprised. She was like, oh, mom, I can feel my hand. And she sort of refused the wheelchair after the first treatment. And that was tremendous even to me, because knowing things is one, but actually witnessing them with your own eyes, like that woman, the first patient of mine who was paralyzed for 20 years and get regenerated, started walking after the second injections. So we are talking about a totally new approach and actually moving away from nervous cells do not degenerate, as even I studied in my med school days. Now we are coming to the era of regenerative medicine, where we at Kintaro Cells Power create a condition for the body where the body, using its own natural mechanism, can regenerate to up to 60, 70, 80, 90 potentials of your own body reserves. We simply enhance you. We simply give you the material, creating the conditions so patients like Nazumi and the other gentlemen can enjoy the full quality of life, witnessing regeneration in all different systems, even sometimes hair growing black as a good side effect.
Mm-hmm. All right. Is there anything else you would like to share before we go to the Q&A?
I actually would like to share, because here I see on my screen we have a very good question from Mr. Pavan Yadav. I hope we have pronounced your name very right. And this question is many others will be asking, so I would like to hit it first. How can I start my business with stem cells, even then I'm a basic biological researcher? You can be a biological researcher, you can be a doctor, you can be an entrepreneur. As long as you're asking the right question, we are providing you with the right material. And if I can take over the screen once again, so to demonstrate you that for our partners at Kintaro Cells Power, we are providing you with all the necessary materials, what you need. We are going to send you all the necessary stuff. So first of all, as they say, know your subject. So you know what and who you are dealing with. Not that we only pay high commission and introducing new clients and providing marketing support. Most importantly, we are providing with a unique and very competitive product, as up to now, the biotechnological market is coming up to be, if I'm not mistaken, maybe the third, but I think the second after the world trade, and capitalization of that will be $1 trillion in 5 years. We are also going to support your growing demand and increase businesses. For example, provided you with the strategy, we are going to organize a training. We are introducing new clients and our allies in any part of the world, right? If we are moving to the next pack of materials, this is the full information about what are Kintaro cells, how safe they are, because safety is first. And basically we're talking about the number of stem cells and most importantly number of publications that have taken place worldwide, those of mesenchymal stem cells, which are Kintaro cells. Not only that, but also the potential benefits of Kintaro cell therapy. Clients always ask a question, can I treat this disease or that disease with Kintaro cells? I had to disappoint you, we do not treat disease. We provide a full body, the holistic full body approach where maybe you don't even know you have the disease, but the stem cells, Kintaro cells, are going into your body, identifying it on cell-to-cell level, and are going to stop the disease from spreading into your whole system. If we go by the diseases, then actually the list will end somewhere at 92 pages, as our scientists said. By understanding how Kintaro cells work, you are being enhanced with all the knowledge provided by our world-renowned professors, our partners from around the world, Japan, Russia, Ukraine, everywhere, as you see. So you will learn not only about Kintaro cells, but you are going to be enhanced with most important advanced cellular therapy knowledge. And if you are a biological researcher, then we're going to provide you with our meta-analysis of safety and efficacy of clinical use of human mesenchymal stem cells, and those are Kintaro cells. And this is where our power comes from. All these materials are being supplied to partners of us around the globe.
Mm-hmm. I think this would also be a good time to play a video from one of our main partner clinics in this region. So
I think it is. Let it hear from them.
My name is Trần Ngọc Sĩ. I'm dermatology and plastic surgery. I studied in Vietnam. I got a master of the science in dermatology and plastic surgery. I have been searching for stem cell therapy many years ago. To compare the healthy and the skin, the bone marrow was better than the fast stem cell. I found out the last 2016 that Kintaro manufacture good quality stem cell which has a good potential for anti-aging. This caught my attention for I want to provide a better treatment to all my clients. It's most of my patients, I think 40 years old too and above. I have over 100 patients and over 300 treatment time already who undergone Kintaro cell. Some undergone IV infusion 2-3 times already since last 2 years. I actually tried stem cell therapy using Kintaro cell. I can certify that is very safe. I and my client never encounter any F5 reaction. Besides, it posts a good quality effect that change the activity of our daily living, or even my sleeping pattern have been improved. As per data I have collected from last year client, 70% out of the 107 patients were the female. The age from 18 to 60 years old, 96% from Vietnam and 4% from overseas. Most of them live in Ho Chi Minh City and work as a businesswoman. 74% out of the 107 subjects undergone stem cell therapy for preventive measures and would like to improve one's health and or the well-being. 5% was diagnosed with the osteoarthritis, followed by the hormonal disease, insomnia, hair loss, and some also have this herniation, Parkinson's disease. 76% of the patients did one-time treatment, and 29% had 2 infusions of stem cell IV, and 4% out of the 107 patients undergone 3 sessions of stem cell therapy. Efficacy of stem cell therapy showed quite good and above 73%. There are no cases of ineffective treatment. Specifically, most of my patients failed the content and others decide to undergo another session this year. Based on my experience, it shows a good potential in improving one's health, not only for anti-aging, but also is promising the treatment for today uncurable disease or disorders.
We have another question from Pawan as well. He would like to know if we can treat Alzheimer's disease by stem cell therapy.
Oh, yes, Mr. Pawan. It's a very interesting, and I think it's a very right time to ask this question, and thank you very much for this question. Alzheimer is a very tricky, how can I say, incurable disease nowadays, and all the research, and especially cellular therapy research into Alzheimer, shows good results in slowing it down. Unfortunately, so far, I cannot give you any link or case that I am aware of that's been totally treated of Alzheimer, unfortunately, but I do know some of the users who do have not only Alzheimer, but other conditions with their health. They show, how can I say, the positive dynamic, which is being slowing down and partly reversing of Alzheimer's disease. Also, what I see as a side effects on some of our patients, for example, is they are talking about, let's say, their memory improvement, their focus of attention improvement. Like I mentioned, my grandma at 95 operating the sewing machine and never having a problem, let's say, with the concentration, with perfectly dealing with stress, and that is the main factor in such neurological diseases. Her memory, that she told me the story when she was young, from 30s and 40s, etc. So the question should be asked even further is, with the modern treatment or with the treatment that you are going through now, what are the results? How long have you been on the treatment? And let's say, if you give us your contact, we will reply to you personally, because in stem cell business, in cellular therapy, each case must be evaluated on a personal basis. Each case must be evaluated on a personal basis. So first of all, this is because this is our sort of business model. we are working with the local doctors, local clinics, local partners. So maybe there are somebody in your area, or you can contact us directly, because one big part of particularly my job is, let's say, online consultation and providing the best drafts and methods for therapy. So, for example, like our representative of Kintaro Cells Power in Thailand, Mr. Trevor, whoever is in that part of the world, you can contact him, whether you want to start business as our main model, B2B. We are looking for partners with already maybe developed network and schemes of business that we want to improve. We simply, if you have a clinic and you do have your methods, we want to sort of double your effort and efficiency by implementing Kintaro Cells Power and Kintaro Cells into your already maybe existing model of business, supporting it with all the power that we have. You don't have to abandon your method. No, we want you to use your method, only improve it and make it much better.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Igor. And since you mentioned about implementation, let me say I own a clinic and I would like to implement stem cell therapy into my clinic, and I've never done it before. Is there any support from Kintaro? Is there any training, or how does it work?
It works on a very simple basics. You contact our representative into your area of the world, for example. And if we are working on B2B model, from Kintaro side, you have our full support in marketing. Not that we only gonna supply you with our unique product and do the follow-up by your clinic and maybe by the patients, those whoever maybe they need a direct online consultation with the best specialists coming from our company, different part of the world and different areas of expertise. We are providing you second with all the necessary materials to enhance your practice and make it better, to providing you with the latest up-to-date knowledge about the whole cellular therapy business, not only Kintaro cells as a being, to my understanding, one of the best, but also providing you with the webinars to your local partners, to group of your patients, to maybe some other areas of your business once you want to extend that. Also, for example, I think Thailand is totally unique location, and the big part, which is a tourist business, maybe we need to switch to the medical tourism, where tourists from a different countries, not only the Asia Pacific region, but maybe from the Western countries, they are coming for holidays and they're being treated at the same time. So we might provide you not only with mentioned above materials and knowledge, but simply provide you with the clients towards your clinic where they can enjoy the Kintaro cells treatment combined with your methods and therapies that you are already practicing in your clinic.
All right. And as you know, we have another question, and this is one of the questions we receive a lot. As most doctors, you know, their first priority is their patient safety. So one question that we have is, you know, how safe is the product and what is the source? Where does Kintaro cells find the stem cells?
That is a very important question to any doctor, being one of them myself, or any human being. The source of Kintaro cells is the bone marrow of a young healthy donors age 18 to 25. So Kintaro cells are bone marrow derived, and then they are being multiplied. They are being cultivated in up-to-date state-of-the-art lab in Japan, where we do have the 3 patents on cultivation of mesenchymal stem cells. As I mentioned before, every year we are being checked by Tokyo Medical University, issuing certificate of validity and efficiency of our cells 24-38 hours from the time of lab extraction and after the international delivery.
Okay. Yeah, that is the last question we have, and is yeah, that's the last question we have. If there's anything else you would like to add or share with our participants today, feel free to do so.
If I may move a little bit off the scientific base and speak more of a, as I say, human being and maybe a user of stem cell myself. What I found and why I love Kintaro cells, and this is maybe a little bit personal and a rather touching subject for me, because in Kintaro cells, I found something that I was looking since I joined the med school and later on was sort of dispatched to Vietnam, where I station now, in search for most naturopathic methods. I was looking for the way to whether you are healthy is to improve your health, how to make your energy better, how to make you more powerful, going through the day, whether you're being a student, entrepreneur, businessman, whatever it is you do. So by the end of the day, I don't drop dead in front of TV, being able only to switch channels. I was looking for that, as they say, fountain of youth that, again, they're always talking about in the Orient. So this was my sort of journey, only to go back to the technologies that have 100 years of history. And this is where what I found in Kintaro stem cells, providing most efficient, most, as I say, naturopathic way, because as I mentioned before, the process of regeneration does happen in each and every one of us, but maybe kids and teenagers are being regenerated much faster due to the number of stem cells in their body. So once, if the process is there, it's like you're recharging your phone, the recharger is worker. But once you don't have the origin of that, how your body can regenerate, you can pump it with vitamins and supplements and growth factors and all the other stuff, whether it's for beauty, for health, but regeneration on cell-to-cell level, the one that coming from the core of your own human being in adult bodies, that is the bone marrow, and that's where stem cells are, Kintaro cells are coming from. And that comes from a user of me. And of course, as you mentioned before, safety is first. This is how I know. Otherwise, I would never prescribe it, not only to my clients, but to the members of my family. So it's so to speak, I used members of my family as a lab rats. But this is how I know, number one, this is the safest. Number two, this is the most efficient form of treatment. And number three, it's, how can I say, one of the most profitable form of businesses that Kintaro business model does provide to our partners, as I mentioned before, supplying you with all the knowledge, necessary materials, giving you our clients so you can use to your own benefit, where both parties win. And this is, I believe, once we do this form of business where both parties win, as they say, is a win-win situation. To my knowledge, this is the best.
All right.
Thank you.
We actually just received one more very interesting question. So since you mentioned that the Kintaro cells come from donors, one of our doctors is asking, during COVID-19 pandemic, how do you make sure that the source of the stem cells are safe?
Oh, I think this is very easy to answer, because during this situation, everyone is trying to make sure that they do not get in touch with COVID-19, and the measures that are taken now, we can analyze country by country. The measures to prevent the spread of the virus are actually playing along with our strategy to ensure the safety, let's say, first of all, of the donors, to pick up the cleanest, so to speak, And number two, to provide the material there, to provide Kintaro cells that are the safest. So as we are in combination with government enterprises who are doing the sourcing of material, we can totally assure that those are the safest measures coming from them. Just like our cells, you know, it's only when me myself I'm saying, oh, Kintaro cells are the best. Who's gonna believe that? But behind us is our partners, Tokyo Medical University, ensuring it on an annual basis that this is a certificate of Kintaro cells, and you can look at that. 36 hours of international delivery. So actually, in these so-called tight measures, we are, I feel, sometimes even most secure than in a life before COVID, because everyone is trying to make sure. And as before, let's say, even in Vietnam, when some patients have to undergo acupuncture, they are being tested for HIV. Now, everyone is being tested for COVID. So I would have to say thank you to all the governments and local enterprises, and of course, all the doctors who are doing that a good job, because partly we all are affected by that. I never felt the safest.
So basically the donors are screened before they donate, and the cells are also and the cells are also tested for quality by Tokyo Medical University before they even get to the patient.
That is always correct. That is always getting to providing the treatment is the easiest part. Basically, all the work that is unseen is done by the sourcing company, by the Tokyo Medical University, by our lab, where the magic is actually happening.
Right. And is there anything that you provide to show that the donor has been screened when you provide the cells to the patients or to the partners?
Actually, thank you very much. Yes, we do. Each of our client is being provided a personalized certificate with their name, age, and most importantly, that information that the patient is receiving 200 million cells. The viability of the cells is 98, 96%, that during the cultivation of the cells, no karyotype, no genetic material was added or changed, that the cells are of human base. And most importantly, we do provide information that the donors are clean or tested negative for HIV, for hepatitis, basically for any alien, viral, bacterial, fungal, foreign DNA material. As they say, safety first.
All right. Yeah, that's the last question we've had for today. Yeah, again, if there's anything else you'd like to share before we close off.
I can go on talking about the Kintaro cells for hours and hours, but because like witnessing patients who are being treated, people who actually sometimes you think, well, okay, the Kintaro cells can do some work here, but the actual the results were much higher than my expectations, because I only hold the knowledge, let's say, and experience that learned and acquired during practice on my patients. But when the cells go into the body, they are much better doctors, because on cell-to-cell level, they can get to the core of the disease, providing the regeneration and the best treatment. Who can do better than that? Who can look deeper than that? Only Kintaro cells.
And yeah, the very last question from Tapani, she's asking, can Kintaro cells adapt to any blood type when it comes to injection?
That is a very good question. Thank you very much, Tapani. And as I mentioned before, if we do the blood transfusion, for example, there you do have to find the match due to all the proteins on the blood cells. Kintaro cells do not need to adapt to any blood types, because as I mentioned before on the certificate, human leukocyte antigen is come to 0. Basically, major histocompatibility complex type 1 is presented on Kintaro cells. So when they are going into mind or your body, they are simply not being recognized as something alien. And as I said, this is a beauty because it's something of a nature that's going to your own body with not causing the immune response.
Okay. Before we close off again, we have one more question. So Pawan is asking again, you know, can bone marrow stem cells therapy be beneficial for acute lymphoblastic leukemia patients? Because in India, India, he wants to start the treatment for this kind of patients.
It's okay. I actually like that you are asking questions because you do know what you need and you're trying to acquire that information. And as I mentioned before, Kintaro Cells Power, we do provide support and try to find the best solution and come up with the best treatment. But in any, generally speaking, yes, bone marrow mesenchymal stem cell therapy can be beneficial for the mentioned disease, but as I mentioned before, each and every case needs to be evaluated on a personal basis. Basically, we need to see the patient. We need to analyze the patient first, because as I said before, stem cells are not treating the disease. They're going inside, restoring the sort of natural balance. And then as the water stamping out the fire goes away, the regeneration happens. And the disease is being, even in some cases that are incurable, cured. So the answer is yes.
Okay. That brings us to the end of the session for today. Thank you so much, Dr. Iho, for taking time to share with us about the business opportunities in stem cell therapy, and also about stem cell therapy and in general. So before I close off, I would just like to say that if you have any questions, or you need more information, or if you're interested in partnership with Kintaro Cells Power, feel free to reach out to me. I'll provide you any information you need. If you have any further questions for Dr. Iho as well, just send them to me. I'll make sure he answers them and send them back to you. Thank you everyone as well on behalf of Kintaro. Thank you for making time out of your Sunday morning to be with us today and to hear from Dr. Iho. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a good day.
All right.